big distraction for me and for you. How you all doing today though? It is Friday. My daughter gets mad at me when I say Friday. She don't like that. All right. So today is, we're gonna switch the color on that so it doesn't look yellow. Today we are doing Philodendron Friday. We're gonna talk about a couple of my philodendrons in here, what things are good, what things are bad, if I buy it again or recommend, and go from there. Kicking things off though, I guess the first thing we could talk about is the philodendron glorisms. These are them down here. If you saw, this was about 2 months ago. I had to cut these. I had to cut these plants down. It was a long shelf that was growing on the back wall there. It had my philodendron glorisms, and they just wasn't putting out anything. I just got frustrated, just decided to take those all the way out, cut what was good, trash what wasn't, and go from there. So these are the nodes that I put in here. They're doing well. I actually need to find something bigger for them. Maybe I can go to the store today and get a clear bin. That might be a really good video. Never know. Other than that though, guys, that's it. That's all that's going on with that. Let's go ahead and get into our first philodendron. We talked about gardenia. We talked about nuclear. What about our strawberry shake? Have we talked about our philodendron strawberry shake? I think that's a good one. Let me get a light going on over here. I'm gonna go behind the camera because if I try to step over this cord, All right, just the light there. I think that is doing pretty good. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna show you all my philodendron strawberry shake. She stays back here. Now, this is definitely a plant that I wouldn't recommend for a beginner because it is very, it's a feisty little one. You know, some plants that you buy, that you take care of, they don't necessarily do the things that your normal plants do as far as doing a repot. If you was to repot this plant like I did, put it in the same mix that I did for some of my more common house plants, I get more of a reaction in this. This is a lot of leaf stuck. It's a lot of just smaller growth. And I think it's because hybrids, they just grow a little bit different in general. They're very specific on their lighting and so forth. I noticed Walmart's putting out their bulbs and their tuber plants. I've already bought a few. What's going on, Golden Richard? LC, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Gold rhetoric. Gold rhetoric. What's going on? Oh, they putting the bulbs out already? Jeez. Everything now is in a rush. I mean, I'm not shocked. I mean, the day of Valentine's, they probably want to start putting out the St. Patrick's Day stuff. But yeah, okay, they're putting the bulbs out. I actually was just saying that I'm going to go to the hardware store today, or Home Depot, and I'm going to see if I can find a bigger container because I'm going to put these plants right here inside one so it can grow. You know, when it comes to the philodendron glorism, just in general, I seem to dry that plant out a lot, and I think it's a lot to do with my watering. I thought all plants, you know, philodendrons, when they say it's recommended to allow these plants to dry out, I thought all of them wanted. No, it's not all of your philodendrons want to dry out. It's just what's best recommended if you don't know what's going on. And since I do know what's going on, I need to do better. So, philodendron strawberry shake. Let's talk about this one. You want to make sure it does get some type of bright light. The more light this plant gets, the more colors come through and the faster that it grows. As you can tell, no leaf is alike. I will put it as being a slow grower. It doesn't grow as fast as my other philodendrons, but every leaf that it puts out is more beautiful than the other one, so it's worth being a slow grower. It does not give me any problem as far as with pests. It doesn't give me any problem as far as overwatering, but that's because the soil that it's in a nice chunky airy mix. And I will say humidity is definitely kicking its butt this winter months. As you can tell, we have an issue going on here, and when it's like that, I'm not going to really be able to do much with that. I could try to go in there and snap it out, but it's still going to break. It's the same thing I have going on here. So when you have these going on, you have this issue going on, it's definitely humidity. I keep saying I'm going to run my humidifier soon. This is what happened. This is why I'm delaying it. I got ready to run my humidifier. I pulled it out and I realized that it needs to be cleaned. And it needs to be like deep cleaned. It looks all brown in there and so forth. I don't think it's dry mold or anything like that, but I still don't want to just hand clean it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm still gonna have to hand clean it, but I'm gonna take it outside, get some soap and spray it all the way off with the water hose so I don't have to come near it until everything is broken up and outside. Then I'll run it inside of here. But we'll see. But yeah, so this is the philodendron strawberry shake. Let's get to another one. Some I may have to bring you all to because trying to move these around is not a smart move. Um, let's talk about the bronze. I mean, why not? Right here. Philodendron bronze. Well, philodendron Florida bronze, okay? This is a plant right here that is very easy to maintain. You do not have to give it the best of light. You don't even have to water it too much if you want to. This is one of the philodendrons that doesn't have a fit if it doesn't have its water. Now you still need to get it, but use an indicator that is drying out. You will see the leaves on the plant, the whole plant in general, will start to curl down. You'll also notice that the growth was very slow. If the growth is slowing down, you usually have some type of soil issues going on, and that's the importance of fertilizing your plant or giving it some Super Thrive or some vitamins. Just remember though is that Super Thrive and fertilizer do two different things, and it does no good to give your plants all these vitamins because it's just going to go through in regards to your soil. If you have to choose, fertilize your plants once every quarter. I know during the winter months right now, it's like, well, what do I do? Do I fertilize my plants? Do I not fertilize my plants? Do I cut my plants? Do I repot my plants? And honestly, guys, that's completely up to you. Um, if I have a plant that need to be repotted, I'm gonna repot it. Now, if it's a plant that I can wait to repot, of course I'm gonna wait. But that's just because I prefer to do all my repotting in groups. It's just easier for me. Now, the only thing I would say that's not smart about repotting in groups is if you run across some plants that do have some pests and you're in the middle of doing repotting and maybe you didn't notice it, depending on if you had those plants all around each other grouped up or you have them all out on the mat just ready to go, you may have crossed over some pests between some plants. So that's the only thing. Now, one way to alleviate that, of course, is to inspect the plant thoroughly before you get ready to do any type of repotting. But sometimes I don't think about that. I just go ahead and get straight to it. I live by my moisture meter. Now, a moisture meter, they work amazing. They're really good, but be careful when you start adding in thicker contents into your soil and so forth because they won't pick that up. The way that those meters work, unless you have like a brand new one, something that came out last year, I don't know about. But if you're talking about like the green one, they don't recognize when stuff like perlite and leca and so forth are being touched with it because it works like on a magnetic system. I don't exactly, it's a full thing. It's a guy, I kill my plants, I think that's his name. He talks about a monstera. I mean, he has this monstera, and I don't know if he has several plants or not, but I started watching him off of that, and he really dives into the monstera deliciosa. I mean, I learned so much just from him. So one plant you could have a whole channel to talk about and really dive into. But he brought up the fact about the moisture meter, and I was wondering when I started switching my mixes up and I started using my moisture meter because I didn't know if the plant needed water or not. It would be all wrong. I'm like, I'm sticking this in and it's dry, but it's saying, no, I'm sticking it in and it's very moist, but it's not reading anything. Or I'm sticking it in, it's very dry and it's just reading that it's fine. And I'm like, fine, where? So then it came to how far deep do I stick this in? Do I just hit the top part, bad part? And then it goes a lot into your mixing when you doing like me at home. If I'm making my own mix and so forth, I may put more in of an item than what I'm supposed to. You know, I'm boom, 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 boom. I put in maybe some extra perlite that I usually do. You know, that matters in response to your soil that you're using. So you just kind of have to be mindful of that, but just be careful with your moisture meter. Now, I will say this, after saying all these words, I always say it. If what you doing works, you keep doing it until it don't work. Because everybody has a whole different situation going on. But again, guys, your philodendron, These are very, very simple house plants. Um, I started off with philodendrons. My first love is a philodendron. My last love will probably be a philodendron. Now I did move on to monsteras that I really do like, and I am this year going to be buying my first Ethereum. Um, I feel comfortable with it. I do know that when it comes to it, good to know. Yeah. You know, use it. If it doesn't apply to you, chunk it out and keep it moving. Um, I'm preparing to buy my first Ethereum, and I'm going to be getting a glass case to be able to put it in, and then I'm going to have to get the grow lights, the humidifier. I want the whole smokes and bangs. I know you don't have to do it that way, but that's the way I seen it, and that's the way I want it. I've waited a long time to get to the point where I feel comfortable with, hey, exploring another type of plant species. I'm good. I believe that's what's called, species. But yeah, so this is the philodendron. Florida bronze, you can get these for a good price too. You can get them for like $34. Of course, they're not going to be this size. Probably at this size, what I see, if you buy them like off Etsy and so forth, you'll probably pay about $74 if you're looking at that. And you can buy plants off Etsy. I already told you how I felt about that though. Sometimes you get great sellers. Sometimes you get sellers who just throw whatever they have laying around that they market it to be what it was. They put it in the bag and that's what happens. I had 2 encounters where I ordered a specific plant and I got sent the wrong kind of plant. And I've also had several encounters that I've ordered a plant that I looked at the size, it said like 4-inch or whatever, and I'm looking at their 4-inch plant on the picture. I'm like, oh, well, this is nice. And then I turn around and order and I get home and it's sent to me as a 2-leafer, and one of them is questionable. You know what I mean? So I've had that before. But on the flip side, I've also had many of great purchases. And if I was to rate my good over bad, I had way more good than bad. So I still say if you want a particular plant, you don't know exactly where to go and get it, Etsy is usually a pretty good place because most of the people who do sell those plants, they are small people, small businesses. So they usually do have some type of care for a plant and know what they're doing. A tool that's been helping me out too on where to buy from is if you go on like Instagram or TikTok or wherever you find your influencer at or somebody to follow that you can trust with plants. If you go into their bio, you'll see if they sell stuff. Most of the time, somebody sells something if they're doing that. And if you go into the bio section, you'll see where they have an Etsy account or not. Your proof on how they care for their plants and so forth is right there on their Instagram page. So that's usually a good sign or a good signal of whether to buy something from somebody if they have some type of visual proof that it actually is working. Anybody can sell you anything, you know what I mean? One thing that I will say that's safe though, as far as us dealing with plants, for the most part, we are not in a hobby to make money or capitalize off of the plants itself, maybe off of the accessories and the things that go along with it, like, hey, I'm trying to sell some shirts. But I'm going to sell my shirts because it's nothing to do with plants in general. You know, when you talk about the actual horticulture, and I'm not blocking people from being able to get a plant, and I hate it when people raise the price of these plants and basically plant gouge because we grow the plant for our pleasure. Like, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I know someone like me, when I go to get a plant, yes, I do want to show my plant off to somebody. It is nice when they come in and they see it. But I'm buying a plant for myself because when I come into the room in the evening time or in the morning time just to get my thoughts and stuff together, I'm looking at the plant. I'm inspecting the plant. And usually on watering days is the day where I'm really all up in the plant. Like I'm seeing if the leaf has changed, if the leaf is brown, if the soil is looking a little bit funky, if the pot isn't sitting right, so forth. Like those are the things that you really have to pay attention to when you do get into caring for your house plants because just a quick overlook of those things, your collection or your plant in general can really just decline in health. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's okay to not know what you're doing. There are plenty of plants that I don't know what I'm doing. I have a few in my care that's still in questionable care. I'm not going to sit here and pick those plants up and tell you, hey, do it this particular way because I don't feel comfortable or confident in telling you that. But if that plant is something that I am doing right that I could recommend to you, of course. I'm only going to speak on the things I know because just respect from one business person to another, or just somebody who tries to stretch their money out, don't lie to me and have me waste my money. Don't recommend something to have me kill my plant. I've done that a lot of times. People tell me to do something or what they recommend, or they'll put it on a post, and I go and do it, and it's bad. But I also will say this too. I didn't fully read the directions. That's another thing that you have to do, especially when you are treating pests. Let me pick up another plant while we're talking about this. Especially when you are treating pests, guys, you need to follow through everything that it says do. If it says water the plant before and spray it 17 times and throw it in the air, then that's exactly what you do in order for this to work. Because this is the thing. It's a process, it's a system. It's telling you, you do an X, Y, Z, this is what's going to happen. If you only do X and Y and you don't do Z and then it dies, how do you know if you really gave it a fighting chance or it just died because you was lazy? Some people, bite off more than you can chew. I'm speaking from that experience. You buy a plant, you buy another plant, and now you're overwhelmed with plants, and then you see something happening, and you just take a look at it, and you hope that it's going to fix itself. Newsflash, it never does. I'm here to tell you that. It's actual proof. It does not correct itself. Ask anybody who spent a whole lot of money on a variegated plant when it starts to reverse. If they don't cut that leaf and be willing to potentially deal with that plant for years until it gives off another leaf, their plant's never going to come back. It's going to always be reverted. Now, or you could just simply say, forget about it. My Pluto over there, which I found out is a philodendron Pluto, I'm not worried about cutting that plant up so it can revert back to a caramel marble. I'm fine with it the way it is. But you got some people who are willing to do that. If I was really into it, if I really wanted my caramel marble, and I wanted the caramel marble color and the actual plant instead of like the size and the aesthetic reasons, then sure, I would absolutely cut it. I sure would, but I'm gonna turn, right there as you can see that little leaf over there, that to me is worth it being other than just a strange color. This right here, this is a philodendron orange marmalade. Now it comes in, as you can see right here, humidity issues. I'm telling you right now, I need to get the humidifier up and running. So that's another thing that I will put on my to-do list. And the next time we talk, which we will not hop on here tomorrow or Sunday, okay, people? I don't know how to get my schedule out there. I don't know if it's something I can do on a post, probably. I'm pretty sure I can do a post. I didn't think about that. But not on the weekends. The weekends, I want to be able to dedicate that time. On Sundays, I like to get in here and actually do a really good just cleaning of the room, figure out what things I need to work on for the week and so forth. And that I'll do in a long form video. So that way I can take my time and get to it as I do. But that's also the time that the kids are at home. And I don't want to have the kids upstairs in the room being quiet while dad's on live. And I also want to make sure that I'm available to them so they can do what they want to. My son's getting to that age this year. He's turning 13. He has a girlfriend. My daughter, she's in 3rd grade now. It's just I want to make sure that I'm around them and giving them the time. They see me with my plants and stuff all the time, so I just want to make sure I'm making time for them as well. Because this hobby can get very consuming and you can get very much involved in it to the point where nobody else really matters. I lose time in here. I kid you not, I can come in here at 4 o'clock in the morning and never walk out the room till 10 or 11 o'clock till I have to use the bathroom. If I had a coffee pot in the bathroom in here, I'll never come out the room all day. But anyway, philodendron orange marmalade. Now this right here, I'll tell you, when I first bought this plant, I thought it was completely ugly. Did not like it. Took a while for it. I think it was because it was misunderstood in my book. I had never seen a plant that grew like this, and I assumed that the leaves was all curling into the side because it was bad. Can you suggest an alternative to moss pole, please? Absolutely. Planks. Just a plank. Get you a piece of wood and put it on there. If you have a small plant, you can go to the store and I forgot exactly what they're called, but if you go to the hardware store and you go to where wood and stuff is being cut, they're like called stakes. I'll show you what one of them look like. That's what the back of a stake looked like. It almost looked just like a ruler, pretty much. I'll put to. You can go with those if it's a small plant. If it's a big plant, get you a trellis, or you can get you a just a regular plank. Works good, works the same. And unless you're watering your moss poles, The moss poles aren't serving the plant any difference of that. Um, my monsteras that I'm gonna have to put on some type of support, they're definitely gonna be going on trellis. So again, it matters what kind of plant you're growing because what kind of direction they're going. Are they just gonna need a stem just to grow one up on, or are they going? Is it going to be something where you place it in the middle for it to be able to balance a whole lot of weight? Because you don't want to pencil thin on a big monstera, and you don't need to have a huge stake, the biggest stake in the world, if it's on something like a philodendron, which doesn't require that as well. So if you let me know in there, then I can probably better help you out. But these come in when it first come in. It comes in dark orange, almost reddish. You might be able to see a little bit of the color at the least. That's the color that it comes in. And then it eventually fades into this. Thank you. Most of my plants are large. I'll check out Lowe's. Yep, check out Lowe's. Now, when you go there, because all the Lowe's, I know the ones in North Carolina, they're all set up the exact same way. So when you get over to the section where they usually do cut wood and so forth, right there, I want to say it's the plumbing, not the plumbing section, but like the doors. You can get doors, to put on the outside of a house and so forth. Right there on the edge out, you'll be able to see it's a whole lot of planks. I don't want to say 2x4, but I'm just speaking on that because what a lot of people call wood. So you'll see some 2x4 planks there, and they range from, I want to say $7.99 and then get up to about $15.99. But again, that just depends on the size of it. But yeah, absolutely, they work good. I want to see if I have one for example. I actually do. Let me get this plant down. It wants to fall, so what I'm going to do, you all just give me a second. I'm going to fasten it back over to here because you all know what happens with plants around here. They will fall if I don't secure them. Hold on one second. And I'm going to show you one of the planks that I used. Does anybody got any plans though? It is Friday. I know I don't go anywhere. My idea of a good time is being at the house with the kids and the wife here, so I know everybody's safe, everybody's good. Making sure I got some good food for everybody to eat, and then everybody zero off and do their own thing. That's my idea of a Friday. But if anybody's going anywhere doing anything, I wouldn't mind knowing. All right, we have that secured. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go over to the philodendron royal queen so you can see what I do have on a plank. Okay. I don't know how large your plant is, but this is another suggestion too. This is the wood that I go and get. You get these, they're pretty good. Your plant will love them. And if you water them like you're supposed to, you can even put you a little bit of, if you look right here, she's gorgeous. Thank you. If you look right there, you see that saran wrap, and you'll see a little bit of moss tied around here. Is right there. I'm trying to do it without dropping my plant. Right here. Okay, that right there, I'm gonna lift the leaf up. Now that right there is called air propagating. When you air propagate a plant, that's when you take some sphagnum moss and you wrap it around with whatever you choose to use to secure in the moisture. You want to spray it off, and those little nodes that's on the back of the plant, on the stems, they'll eventually grow out into some roots. And then what you could do, instead of taking a plant, cutting it, and putting it into water, you could just cut the plant off and immediately stick it into soil because it does have a root system going. Now be careful of that because it is going to be a very small root system. So you just can't take a plant just because it has a huge big leaf and turn around and stick it in a big 12-inch pot. We're going to take it, you're going to stick it in probably a 2-inch pot, possibly a 4-inch pot, depending on how many roots actually come from there. But again, that all depends on you, how many times you've actively watered your plant to the point that moisture is actually being built. I don't have that going on in here. I'm barely doing a good job with keeping the humidity in here for right now. So hopefully that answered the questions, and hopefully you got to learn a little bit about air propagating. It's very, very smart, and it's very easy to do. I mean, you just get you some graphing tape, which you can go to Amazon and get, and you want to get you some sphagnum moss, which you can go to Amazon too. All of this stuff you can go to the store, not the graphing tape. I have not seen that, but I also have not specifically went out to look for it. But it's definitely not in the plant section if you go there. But if you ever have any questions or you ever want to know anything that I use, with the exceptions of a particular pot like this or things like wood, if you go to my Amazon storefront, I have a list of all of that stuff on there. And I mean, it doesn't save you any money, but you was gonna buy it anyway. It'll help me out. I mean, they'll throw some pennies to me, you know, just for suggesting something you was gonna buy anyway. But again, if you go to my Amazon link, it has everything that I use in here from the food to the clear pots. Yeah. All right. So this again is my philodendron royal queen, and I'm actually treating her right now. Color cedar is good because it resists rot, mold, and some pests. Okay. I had no idea about that. I appreciate you sharing that. Had no idea. That's one of the things right there that I love about being able to talk here on live and on Instagram. We message each other. We put little comments on the pictures and say, hey, we're all here and we're all trying to grow our plants. You know what I mean? And if it's something somebody can share to be able to help out another person, do it. I mean, it costs us nothing to be able to share this. And at some point in time, who knows, this video might eventually go viral and we have so many jewels in here that's been dropped. We all get to help each other out. Who knows? All right, so this right here is my crap bucket. We don't call it a crap bucket, but it's the bucket that just has all the leftover cuttings and stuff that most people would call crap. We learn from each other, absolutely, absolutely. So right here, look at this. I don't know if you can see, let's move this leaf. Right there. We might have some goodness going on. Yep. Now this is my philodendron painted lady. If I tell you something, the philodendron painted lady I bought before I bought the gardenia down here. So this is the gardenia and this is the painted lady. Bought them. Uh-oh, don't go off the screen. Oh, I see that. Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty cool. Bought the gardenia like 4 months after, or maybe a little bit shorter. Let's go with 3 months after. But you see the difference to that one back there? Now, I will say I did have that one in a self-watering pot. I bought that one from a reputable seller online. I actually went back to her. She's in the process of moving. I'm probably telling all her business, but she's in the process of moving from Florida to another state. I won't give out that information. How about that? But anyway, I hope that she still continues to sell plants because she knows what she's doing. I mean, her plants speak for herself. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm a very loyal person, and unless I see a reason to switch or change, I don't go looking for it. You know what I mean? So I found out from one of my friends who actually recommended for me to buy my gardenia. I found out that she was selling a plumani in her story. Now, this was a 3-leaf plant when I got it. Okay, full disclosure, it was a 3-leaf plant, but when the other leaf came in, it was a little bit damaged. So I was like, I'm not going to work with that. No fault to her, probably shipping, whatever. So then the second leaf that was in there that eventually came out, it was a little bit jaded. I was like, you know what? I'm not having no ugly plant. So I cut that off. And in return, it pushed all the power to this one leaf right here. Now this is a philodendron plumani. Okay. I have tried to grow a plumani. Make sure I don't have that going on there. Nope, we're good. I have attempted to grow this plant. This would be the 4th time. I'm usually not a person who keeps going back to a plant after the 3rd time. I'll give it a gap break and then I'll eventually circle back around if I catch it on sale, if it's very convenient, but I'm not gonna go looking for trouble. But yeah, here I am. I found trouble again, and we're going to give this another try. Now, this time around, I put it in my naked root potter. I have no water in here, but the soil still is moist. I also have a nice chunk mix up here at the top. And of course, we have a little bit of perlite. Can y'all see that? In the soil. It's like a perlite soil mix there. Plant seems to be doing good so far, seems to be responding well. I don't know if we have something that feels like something's hard in there, so hopefully We got us another stem. Too early to tell. I don't see anything though. I'm fine with it taking this time to build this out, but I'll let you know how this one goes. I'm still a little bit worried. I feel like, is it getting the right amount of humidity? Is it getting the right amount of light? Is it, I don't know, is it just in a good condition? So far, it seems to be responding well, so we're just gonna play that by ear. I don't want to have to buy another one. I really don't. But this a Plamani. The next one plant that's on my to-do list or to buy list is, whew, y'all can help me out. Let's see. Does anybody have a big love for philodendrons? Okay, this philodendron was actually created because the guy, I think his boyfriend or husband or so forth, died of AIDS, if I'm not mistaken. So the plant was actually created in his honor or so forth. Now, I didn't mean to put the man's business out there. It's just that Google put it out there, so I figured that it was okay. Um, it's a blend though. It's in the big leaf family. It's among the glorsums, the myoles, and so forth. Watch. When I think of it, yeah, it'll be later. I'm so happy I saw on Punji channel. What's a good moisture level? Um, Break it down. I'm glad you're here too. What do you mean by what's a good moisture level? You talking about for this specific plant? Because if you're talking about this one, moisture level, don't let this plant completely dry out. I wouldn't even let this plant get halfway before I water. You definitely stick your finger in. That 1 to 2 inches is dry. Give it some water. Now, also take into consideration of the moisture when it comes to when you water this plant. For the plant room in general. Oh, plant room in general. Okay, plant room in general, for the most part, I water the plants when they get to be 1 to 2 inches dry. Most of the time, 2 inches, okay? When it's 1 inch, it's questionable because you can water that plant and you can cause some root rot because just because that top 2 soils, again, it has a lot to do with how did you do your mix. Now, if you just buying a mix out the bag, let's just say some Miracle Grow or something along that doesn't have a really, really nice just aeration or air to breathe inside the soil, and you water that plant, moisture, you will want to let that plant get about halfway dry before you water it. And that's the thing right there. When you do that, you start playing around with stuff because you got some roots that's up at the top of the pot, and then you got some roots that's down there at the bottom of the pot. And so you making sure that you don't overwater these roots down here. These roots right here are completely dry. So what happens? You go ahead and water that again, and this is already wet. This never dried out the bottom, so that stays completely soggy. And that's why when you go to do a repot of a plant, oftentimes, and you have never changed the soil mix that's inside of that pot, you lose half the roots and the soil inside of it. I don't know if you've ever done a repot of the plant and half the soil and dirt still inside the bottom part of the plant, and you wonder what happened. Yeah, it has something to do with you being a little bit rough for you to take that out. But usually that's just a good indication that, or is an indication that the soil and everything basically kept on getting so wet to the point where it couldn't drain out. It usually got clogged up because that's what happened. That stuff get clogged up in the drainage holes, so it just sat there. And yeah, and now you have mud in the bottom of your pot. Long story short, but yeah, top part. I like the top part of the plant to be dry. I like the leaves to start looking a little bit flustered, a little bit curled. That's another great indicator. You get used to the shape of your leaves. I'm probably going to run off a little bit, so remind me if I never get back to the moisture part. But just in regards to checking your leaves for that, it is answering the moisture question. Become familiar with how your plant feels in a pot when you water it, because it's a lot easier to walk by a pot without even looking and to pick it up, and you know that pot is so light because you pick, and it needs some water, and that comes before you even take a look at it, right? Another good way is become familiar with the way your leaves are shaped when it's fully hydrated. Like right now, this plant is fully hydrated. When this plant starts getting thirsty, this one in particular, it'll start to curl and it'll start to droop. You know, the stem will start hanging down and all that. And that lets you know, hey, you need to put some water in. Now, when you're dealing with plants like these and it starts doing that, it's a good chance it's going to die. So maybe this isn't the best example to show a plant completely drying out. But just in general, When you pay attention to the shape of the way that your leaves are, that's another good indication that your plant may need some water. And that's how I check like the moisture levels on there. That's why I don't have too many variations when it comes to plants, because I know how a plant grows. Now, there are particular plants in here, like a Monstera deliciosa looks completely different than a Monstera esqueleto. Um, you, I can show you the difference. I have the plants right here. I don't know why I just don't turn it. 1 second. Let's see here. Now that spray on the floor is, I had to spray my plants. My monstera ties over here have mealybugs, so I'm over here treating them now. And they was over here by a plant that had thrips. So I'm just making sure we don't have nothing going on. So far, I have been seeing browning on the leaves, but that was before I started spraying and treating for it. I haven't seen anything additional, and I've been getting in there even more, catching even more mealybugs. So I'm feeling comfortable and confident. I should say just confident, not comfortable. I'm feeling confidence in the care that's being given. Now, you want to make sure that if you are treating any plants that do require grow lights or that you have growing, that you do not have them shining on top of the plants, because that it does something, and it doesn't like chemicals and grow lights on top of the leaves. It's going to act out. But we was talking about the difference of shape zone. So these right here, the Monstera tie constellations. I mean, everybody has them probably by now. I'll show you mine. And this is my most beautiful one. Well, one of my beautiful ones. Let me show you her. My favorite is that leaf right there where my head is at. That is a beautiful leaf right there. It's a bad plant. Now, I don't know this new leaf that's coming in. I don't know what we're going to get, because I haven't been able to see a lot of variegation through the peep, but I also haven't completely inspected it. But I don't know. It's a lot to run up against, and I am not seeing it. So we're going to see. But yeah, so now that's the shape of a leaf. Now, when that plant in general, when it starts getting thirsty, the leaves do start to curl down a little bit. I love that one. I know. I don't know where you bought yours from, or if you bought it, but the big box stores, $29.99. I don't know if they do $34.99, but I want to say $29.99. That's what I bought mine for. I bought all 3 of them. There's 3 over here. One of them was supposed to be bought as a gift, and it never quite made itself out the room. But yeah, so we have a leaf like that curls up, and it starts to look like that. Now let's get to our Statulona. Bring it on over here. Let's see if we get some light. Does that help any guys? I don't know, probably don't. Okay, there we go. That's the best I'm gonna get. I don't like Friday either. Thank you for the moisture tip. Now, what's your humidity level in your plant room? 68%. Yep. All right, so here we go. This right here is a Monstera esqueleto. Now, when their leaves when it starts to get thirsty, from the middle, the plant will start to bendward in. Look at that. I keep showing that new leaf off, but yeah, it's a beauty. Finally got this plant together. Now the roots want to start growing out the bottom. Now, when I get ready to repot this plant, unless it's a real big need by the time summer comes, I'm not going to repot it from this plant. What I am going to do is just adjust the soil a little bit, bring it up a little bit, and then I'm just going to put some more soil around at the top. Okay? Does that make sense of that? I'm just going to pull this up, shake the soil that it's around, let that fall to the bottom, and then I'm just going to build it around. That usually works. Yeah. 68%. I mean, this is the thing. When it's the more plants you have, the more humidity that it creates itself, right? And if you're in the morning time, you can go around your room and you can do your sprays, so forth, put it on top of your plants. Now you get some people who will say it creates some type of bacteria and you can deal with type of pests and all that. And I respect them and all that, but I don't have that problem. Until I have a problem, that's when I'm gonna stop. So it's either like this: you either run your humidifier or you're gonna get out and you're gonna hit the spray on it or your automatic sprayer like I use right here, and it'll spray leaves off if you're having some problems. Now, as you can tell with some of these plants that we're going around here, with me having the moisture problem with the leaf being stuck, you can tell that that's not really the best measurement, and I probably should be running my humidifier. I don't want to run my humidifier. That's the thing. Um, because the plants, they get used to that. I had an issue about 2 years ago where I ran my humidifier for about 2 hours a day. And once I turned that humidifier off, and yes, it was spring and summertime. Once I turned that humidifier off, my plants had to almost acclimate and get used to a newer setting. And growth slowed down. Some of the colors of the plants started to leave. So it's kind of like me as a person. If I do the same thing every day, I'm more likely to be consistent at it and I don't have to worry about it. But if you keep on switching and adapting your plants to these unquote situations, it's like, a cell phone carrier. They always want you to upgrade your phone. Nothing's wrong with your phone, but they want you to upgrade it. They make you feel like your phone's old and so forth. What's the same thing that we do with plants is we wait when season is coming. Oh, don't not do repotting. Oh, the lighting is going to be different. Oh, the humidity. Well, like most people keep their house running the same time. I have yet to meet a person who runs their house in the summertime at a different level than they run in the wintertime. Meaning that I run my house at 70 all year long, whether it's summertime or whether it's winter. If it's going to heat up to 70 or it's going to cool down to 70. That's just what I do. Now, inside my plant room, because there's so many plants, they still do their own little thing. And with the sun that comes into the room, because I have an east-facing window, so sunlight comes in here, it bounces off. This room is bright, and it usually warms up and humidifies itself. So if the rest of the house is 70, in here it could be like a 72 or 73, and it wouldn't false alarm. Yes, and I don't have a door or anything that closes it. It's able to keep it in so it escapes and it's go. But the moisture level in here, because the plants are all bar, they just seem to harbor it in more. So yeah, so that's pretty much an average of what it stays at. At least I'm gonna say that's what the thermometers, when the humidifier is running, it reads me at a 68. That's what it says. So other than that, that's all I can give. But the Monstera esqueleto, those plants or that plant is really just important to me because this was the first plant or esqueleto, big plant in general of a Monstera that I actually did propagating or did a cut into. I went in there to repot just one plant and I ended up walking away with 4 plants inside of there. All 4 plants made it. Do you know how good that feels? Some plants that I repot, they just don't make it. That's just a fact of. I do the same exact thing. They just don't. A lot of times I caught it too late. I've never repotted a healthy plant and it died. I will say that. Actually, let's scale it back some. Apologies. I have repotted some plants earlier in my days and they did die. What I meant to say is recently, and recently over the last 2-3 years, repotting, although I do get frustrated with it, it's still very, it's just something that I'm still very good at doing is repotting. I guess, I guess that's the guy part in me. I don't mind rebuilding something like getting in there with my hands. So hands to mind, I can remember that. Like when somebody's talking to me, yeah, you're saying words, I may not know what you're saying, but I remember what way I went. Like when I give direction, I'm like, make a left up there where you gonna see a little red car up there. You go, yeah, turn there. But when the red car's gone, I'm screwed. But that's the way that I work. So repotting has never really been that hard, but it was the stuff that I used to repot with when I was making my own mix, and it was really bad. A whole lot of indoor potting mix, and then I would put so many different koi, peat moss. So I'm putting indoor potting mix and peat moss in here. Then I'm doing a perlite, and I'm just dumping it in, and just not really. I'm making my mix, but I'm not making the mix that I need to be making. And it comes again though with your environment on what works and what don't. Some environments, like if you're in like a more of a high humidity place, like in a tropical place, your moisture is going to last longer in your plants. So therefore, having a soil that can retain moisture because of the humidity level being so high will actually be more beneficial to your plants than having something that's so dry. See, it works out good if you have low humidity or not a lot of humidity or humidity issues going, which is why we recommend a nice chunky airy mix, because it's not going to retain that moisture. It's going to allow that water to get through from the top to the bottom, allow that plant to get a little sip and keep it moving, versus the plant being able to just drink what it wants to. That probably was a terrible demonstration, and hopefully it didn't look inappropriate, but I was just trying to give the metaphor of what happens. But that's why when you buy a plant from a greenhouse or inside of a greenhouse and they're doing good, you're like, how the heck are they doing? You bring that soil home, in about 4 or 5 days it start to actually dry out, and then you can almost pick it up and it's all together bunched in. That's why. But yeah. But guys, let me move this back. Hopefully, if you all don't have any questions or anything, then I am going to go ahead and get off of here, because I do want to make it to the plant store today before all the kids come and wife get out. And yeah, I need to get me a little something to eat. I worked really hard, got myself caught up. If you all are following my Instagram or not following my Instagram is He Really Loves His Plants. I do have a TikTok. I do all different variations of style. TikTok is more so every morning I just open the room up and it's nice. Here is my most talkative as far as with live. Hopping on here doing plant care. And Instagram is where I just like to have a little fun. Most of the time you will catch something. I like 69% better. That's funny, that's funny. How you doing? That's funny. Might as well just push it to 70 at this point. I mean, or we drop it down to 65. Who knows? Yeah, so if you all ever want to reach out to me, thanks, Shawn. Always informative and fun. I appreciate that, Cheryl. If you all want to reach out to me, if I'm not here, you got a question or anything, definitely hit me up on the Instagram. Other than that, though, guys, I'm going to hopefully record this when I go there. And y'all take